citizen strike as migraine. The Guardian paper has the headline, Wike accuses federal government of diverting rivers armored choppers to fight Boko Haram. And also INEC rejects NIN as voters registration begins June 28. Shoyinka warns Ogun Amotekun cop against abuse of power. And the NDLEA nabs Canadian Boko Haram, Chadian Boko Haram drug supplier in Taraba, trans-border trafficker in Yobe. And also Lagos shot 430 event centers, clubs for violating COVID-19 protocols. The This Day newspaper has the headline, APC state chairperson demands immediate conduct of Congress convention. Also, OPEC alleges agrees to ease oil production curbs. And also stock market loses 634 billion naira in first quarter. Axis Bank gross profit to 126 billion naira, recommend 55k financial dividends. The pen pushing newspaper has the headline, former Nigerian beauty queen shot dead in America. And Ogun State government installs Wale Soyinka as Amotekun special marshal. And police arrest 50-year-old fake lawyer in Ogun State. And Lagos State Police Command launches campaign against cultism. These are the headlines on the dailies on Women Radio WFM 91.7. Do well to be part of the conversation. Send us a text or a WhatsApp message on 070-317-56537. Let us start off with the doctors. So yesterday, I took time to expand on the demands by these doctors on what they are demanding for, the demands that they have made consistently, from the arrears of salaries to the raising of, the hazard fee from 5,000 naira to 50% of their basic salary. Also to, life insurance policy for families of those workers who lost their life in treating those COVID-19 patients. We lost over 300 doctors and nurses to COVID, and not that they had COVID, but they had to be frontline workers. And these demands have still not been met. But the Punch on the Daily this morning has the headline that federal government threatens the National Association of Resident Doctors as doctors begin strike after agreement. The National Association of Resident Doctors strike hit tertiary hospitals in the country hard on Thursday as they were overwhelmed by the large number of patients, many of whom were not attended to. The Punch correspondent who monitored the strike, which began on Thursday, observed that although the health institution deployed consultants in attending to patients, the specialists could not cope with the number of patients who overflowed the hospital. In some hospitals where consultants could not cope with the heavy workload, patients whose cases were not emergencies were turned back. As resident doctors in Kano, Oshogbo, Port Harcourt, Jalingo, Gombe, Enugu, Ibadan, Lagos, and other parts of the country joined the strike, the federal government expressed anger over the industrial action, which began few hours after the NRD signed an agreement with the government. The Minister of Labour and Employment, Dr. Chris Ngige, in a telephone interview with one of the Punch correspondents, threatened that the government could decide the fate of the doctors if they refuse to call off the strike before the weekend. Recall that the NARD, an association of doctors undergoing residential training, had on Sunday said it would begin a total and indefinite strike on Thursday. Yesterday, if the federal government refused to assent to his demand. Among the demands, the doctors are demanding payment of salaries of house officers and upward review of their 5,000 naira hazard allowance. Now, I thought of this in two ways. I wanted to play the devil's advocate. Oh, it took you guys 60 days to realize that you should have signed this agreement a long time ago. They should actually go on strike and just give this, these people a piece of what it feels like to understand understand their worth and importance, to see the importance of these resident doctors. And then I thought of it again from another angle. One of the things I would not do, or I would rather not accept, is when you put threats to something. When you put threat, maybe you want somebody to do something and then you're threatening, 2-day suspension, or you're threatening reduction of salaries, stuff like that. To me, I feel like it's just a show of power, which, and somebody says something sometimes that the moment you try to establish your position, it means you do not actually own that position. When you try to establish your authority as a person, like the Minister of Labour, Chris Ngige, which I've always faulted how he addresses how he projects his statement towards situation. You say the federal government will decide their fate. If these resident doctors are asked to leave, somehow I'm wondering, top of my head, you're saying the federal government will decide their fate. How would the federal government decide their fate? You need these people more than they need you.
The sad thing is that when it comes to issues that has to do with civil servants, or especially those who directly are involved with the masses, it's really sad that the approach in negotiation is always very, very wrong. Just as you mentioned, if the federal government is saying, oh, we will decide their fate, we have a lot of professionals that we've lost as a result of this anki panky being played by the federal government. A lot of them, good brains, intelligent professionals, have left this country because of the laxity, because of the complacent attitude of government towards their issues, and nobody wants their career to be destroyed because of the negligence of government, intervention in when their cases come up. Also, if you notice that during the ASU strike, we had reports concerning how this minister also addressed ASU. People they are actually agitating for a particular cause. What you need to do diplomatically is to listen to them and then see how you are faulted as a government, and then try to mend the situation, because at the end of the day, the masses who voted you in expect you to do it in a way that they won't also suffer. The mentioned, why did they wait, 60 days when it was announced that they will go on strike? That's when they are now trying to look at the agreement they had and all that. And then the question also is, what was in that agreement that made the government not to respond on time to the needs of the doctors? Over the years, we are used to strike because there is an impending issue that was not attended to. And if they down their tools, yes, the federal government is threatening that they will do whatever with their fate. But don't forget the fact that we have private hospitals that can accommodate these doctors. And also, the fact all remains that a lot of the masses will not be happy with the situation, because already they are directly the one benefiting from the services of this doctor. If you go to General Hospital on a good day, I'm not even saying on public holidays, on a good day, you will see a lot of crowd wanting the attention of these doctors to attend to them. And the most worrying thing is that in our most of our general hospitals, we have intelligent professional hands. And if we lose all these hands, I wonder what will happen to the fate of the masses. So they are not even talking about what will happen to the masses. They are still trying, instead of resolving the issue at the round table with those who are concerned, they're even giving threats. And that is a really, really bad approach from the minister. I think it's time, in as much as we want to call our leaders in terms of accountability in how they relate with the civil service workers or civil servants, we also should let them know that at the end of the day, whatever bargain that is being done at the table, the masses, whether it's positive, whether it's negative, the masses are going to bear the brunt of everything. So I really feel so sorry that a lot of the hospitals right now are going to suffer as a result of this commotion that is happening right now. But I hope that they will wake up to their responsibility and listen to these doctors. They should be treated, the whole world now is now seeing more than before the relevance of our health workers, because as we said, they are the ones bearing the risk. They are in front of the battle. They have to face it on behalf of the citizens. They should not be treated with such an unnecessary attitude.
It's 8:15 on Women Radio, WFM 91.7. Do well to be part of this conversation here this morning. Send us a text or a WhatsApp message on 070-317-56537 to be part of the conversation here on the newspaper review. I have Adetunwa Adebogun with me, newspaper review analyst, and my name is Daniel Adaja. To be part of the conversation here today, do well to send me a text or a WhatsApp message on 070-317-56537 to be part of the newspaper review this morning. Let's talk about the Ibadan traders who are protesting the seizure of rice worth millions of naira. So traders in the Bodija market in Ibadan on Thursday protested the seizure of bags of rice worth millions of naira by operatives of the Nigerian Customs Service. Hundreds of traders took to the streets of Ibadan to protest against what they call invasion of their shops by men of Customs Service, who they are led broke into shops at midnight to seize the bag of rice. The rice traders, both men and women, who were seen carrying placards with various inscriptions, called on the custom authorities to return all the rice and money carted away from their shops. The protesters, who marched from the market to the state secretariat, also claimed that large sum of money left in some stores were discovered missing after the operation of the custom personnel. One of the affected traders, Mrs. Olayemi Oladuni from Block 1, Shop 406, said that 100 bags of rice and 2 million naira cash was taken away from her shop. Also, Mrs. Aru Mosokbe and a couple of other women here, shared their plights on these particular activities. How do we draw the line between not taming this a criminal activity and calling it an operation towards I don't know what to call it per se?
Well, first of all, from the report, it's indicated specifically that the officers went to take the foreign rice from
The stores.
Well, other sides of the story,
Yes.
also says that no, that's not the only thing they took. They took our valuables and
Yeah.
all. Let me point out the fact that they actually went after the foreign rice, which falls under goods that are not supposed to be allowed
Question.
into the country. That's one.
Okay.
But now going extra mile, we are not present there. We are only reading the report.
Yeah.
Accusations. I feel that it's not even right, for the officers to be found wanting in such a scenario. And no matter how it is, when you are going about enforcing a law or where you have a lot of people involved, you have to look for a way to handle it properly so that at the end of the day, now they meant it for good because they were after the foreign rights, but now accusations are flying up and down on their approach and what was done or what was not done.
Allow me to disagree with you. First off, why go at 1 a.m. in the morning? Why not go in the daytime when their shops are opened? And then because what would happen is if you go there in the daytime and their shops are open, if some people try to close their shops and you break those shops open in order for you to search for foreign rice and seize those foreign rice, it makes a lot more sense. But you went to these shops at 1 a.m. These market women are not there in their shops at 1 a.m.
That's why I said
so whatever claim that they lay now, if somebody says they had 5 million in that shop, the customs would have to produce it.
That's why I said the approach. And it's not just synonymous to what this kind of situation. We've had stories in the past whereby officers, they were asked to go and demolish a particular location where houses were not supposed to be built somewhere, and then with the demolition process, they take the blame because they do it wrongly. That's why I said the approach is wrong. Whether it's nighttime, whether it's daytime, we've seen issues like that. Even during the day,
yes,
the actions they take at times, they don't handle things,
More
but the fact still remains
I need
that
to call the attention of the task force people. Oh no, their
that's
approach.
That's
to
why I said the
situations
approach in handling. You are actually
poor.
Now. I also mentioned the fact that they went to enforce a particular cause that okay, we are not supposed to have foreign rice in the country when we have a local rice. And how did you bring it in? Smuggling of items are still coming into the country. Now the borders are open.
That is on custom.
But they should actually would have done it at the right time. And when is the right time? As you mentioned, when you have people in these shops. So if you want to arrest, if you want to lock up the shops, you can. At least you are at liberty to do that. Then when they get to the positions where they can be, they can clarify themselves. They can go ahead and do that. But the approach, that's what I'm particular about.
Okay.
Yes, you want to enforce law. Even look at the situation we have at times with traffic. You want to enforce law of a commuter or someone driving in the wrong lane, and then you are chasing after that car, and the person is trying to escape you from catching him or her, and he runs into somebody else or even kills somebody else.
Did you see the
so
video?
So the approach at times in enforcing the law, that's my own particular interest in this. The approach is always very wrong. You are dealing with human beings, no matter at what length. I want to believe that before our officers are recruited into some of these official functions, they should be told how to deal with situations and do it properly. You don't say you want to enforce the law. At the same time, you fall on the wrong side of the law. So now that we have all these accusations because they didn't do it properly, why did they go at that time where people were not there. So who did they arrest? They just packed the rice. Where did they pack it to? That's another story entirely.
So I'm thinking top of my head that how did this rice get into the country? I think customs should be very ashamed of the institution and its personnel for the fact that these rice have been brought into the country, because that's why they are the border communities. They are the border communities to ensure that these things do not come into the country. Now, why are they going to these shops? Why are they not going to hotels? Why are they not going to the big factories, the big companies that actually are going to be selling the foreign rice in maybe for their customers? Why are they going after the command? There is always a deliberate attempt to always question the activities of these officers, and I think it is shameful for what the activities that they have done. I do not totally agree that you should carry out raid of a market when the people who owns these stores are not there. I think this can be tamed as theft, because what you have done, you have broken into someone's shop without their permission.
That's why I said they are even on the wrong side of the law.
On the wrong side of the law.
It's just like a landlord that wants to evict you and is sending somebody to pack all your things out. You know, he means it well because you are owing rent, but at the same time, he's on the wrong side of the law by telling someone to break down your door and pack your things out. So the approach is absolutely very wrong. And then now that we've seen that the borders are open, one of the things we mentioned previously is that the borders as they are, we've known our borders to be very porous. We need more security now than ever because of the different criminalities or activities going on in terms of smuggling of weapons and all that. I don't know how best to go about this. The custom should work out a strategy to ensure that we still maintain locally produced. And once the economy is also very flexible, I'm sure it will also give farmers enough room. Yes, they want to produce, they want to feed the nation. They would, in terms of their production capacity, they can do that if the economy is also okay. But if they are also restricted in a lot of ways, there are a lot of constraints they have to deal with. At the end of the day, the production costs will be higher, and then you find out that practically a lot of things, even not just agricultural produce, is very high in the country right now. So I feel that for us to be able to still maintain and curb getting in foreign rice, we should still try and put in a lot in terms of agriculture for our farmers.
Thank you very much. 23 minutes past 8. This is Women Radio, WFM 91.7. Do well to be part of this conversation. Send us a text or a WhatsApp message on 070-317-56537. Show love, appreciation to one another, Buhari tells Nigerians. And former President Muhammad Buhari, Senate President Ahmed Lawan, and some eminent Nigerians on Thursday felicitated with Christians on this year's Easter celebration. In a statement on Thursday in Abuja by his special advisor on media and publicity, Mr. Femi Adesina, the president urged Nigerians to show love and appreciation to one another. He recalled how subdued the celebration was a year ago due to the outbreak of COVID-19 and subsequent restrictions, showing appreciation to the citizens for complying with his administrative guidelines to reduce the number of coronavirus infections across the country. President Buhari says, "I thank Nigerians who have religiously adhered to various interventions to curb the spread of COVID-19, including regular washing of hands, safe distancing, wearing of face masks, and embracing the vaccination. We are united in our belief that if we do the right thing, the right decisions, and act responsibly, the pandemic, like others before it, it will no longer be a threat." Lawan, in a statement by a special advisor, also noted that Easter is one of the most important events in the Christian calendar for celebrating the sacrificial death and resurrection of Jesus Christ. So when we emulate Christ, there will be peace and love rather than the political induced senseless killings and general insecurity in the land. The do or die has become the political songs of our leaders rather than allow Christ to anoint them for leadership role. Political leaders are forcing themselves on the people, forgetting that only God anoints leaders. This was a statement credited to Lawan. In a time like this, when there is so much, unrest with regards to the issue of insecurity and how we see the infiltration of insecurity mixed up with religion, tradition, and all. How do we drive that message home of peace and appreciation? We must appreciate our people. Do you think the government has been honest enough with their activities, actually appreciating the efforts of the people?
Well, I really think there are lots of indices to show that the government has not done that well, because if you look at it based on the fact that the killings have been continuous, we also have the issues of the recent kidnapping of school children here and there. And at the end of the day, you find out that it all boils down to political issues, and which definitely at the end of the day also moves down to ethnic imbalances, religious, having different approach to religious views and all that. If you look at all this, together, there's a way that peace is supposed to be an intermediary. If we are not speaking in one voice, there won't be peace. And when there's conflict here and there, the nation will not even move the way it's supposed to move. So at this time, I think it's good that this message is coming up, probably to give us a reorientation of what we need to do as Nigerian citizens, and then to understand that we should look out for each other. And the tribal effects we're having, the ethnic issues we're having, the religious issues we're having,
Okay.
should actually, be over, so that we can move forward as a nation and as a people. At the same time, it should also be a message to those who are actually not giving this country rest at this time. And because you don't ask for a solution, and then you
Okay.
are causing problems
Mm.
because you want solutions. You don't make war at the same time you want to be listened to.
Mhm.
There has to be peace involved in whatever we do. So I hope that at this time, because usually you hear messages from the presidency concerning these celebrations, either is a Muslim celebration or the Christian
Yes.
celebrations. Goodwill messages comes out, but as everyday Nigerian people, we should remember that we should embrace peace at all levels, and the government also has an important role to play in ensuring that that peace is maintained, and mostly with their actions, their response, their urgent response to
Mm.
to to the timeliness of events as they happen, should also serve as, we want to ensure that there's peace at all levels. Because if you do not, you are not proactive in responding to issues that are eating up the polity, you know that there will not be peace. So the government should also realize that they should learn to respond to issues as they unfold. Don't drag issues and then you now start seeing it, metamorphosis into different unnecessary issues at the same time.
Mm.
So I feel that this message should also go back to them, to know that they should also, at all levels, find a way to ensure that peace continue to reign,
Thank you.
in Nigeria.
All right, 29 minutes past 8. This is the newspaper review on Women Radio, WFM 91.7. Do well to send us a text or a WhatsApp message on 070-317-56537. Happy Good Friday to all of our Christian brothers this morning. This is from Bro Chris in Magboro. I think you need to check your phone because I'm not sure the message you have sent to us has delivered. All right. Thank you very much. This is from Comrade Adejoy in AJ City. Says, good morning to you in the studio. Soludo attacked three policemen killed. And the commissioner is being kidnapped. And this is what we have been saying. The leaders and the elders in the East know that this attack are being carried out by the IPOB, but they choose to be quiet because, they choose to be quiet because the attack usually adopt the same pattern with the killer security agent and take their ammunitions. If time is not taken, Boko Haram would be a child's play in the East. All right. Let's take some of the WhatsApp messages that we have here. It says, happy Good Friday. The strike embarked upon by our resident doctors is a shame on the government. A government that cannot take care of its workers that are providing essential services is a failure. That is, our medical practitioners are leaving this country for greener pastures. Any government that cannot fund health and education is not sensitive to the plight of their citizens. We need to declare state of emergency on education and health sector in the country. Have a corona-free weekend. Engineer Wale in Ikorodu. All right, this is from Chuks in Ikeja. Says, in Nigeria, the authorities hardly probe ex-military officers that served, for example, as military governor. That was the more reason why retired John who served in the first military governor and administration of the old Anambra, sold some portion of land known as Government Field in Onitsha, where the children and residents of the areas used used as recreational facilities and get away with such heinous crime. This is not unfounding. I'm not sure I totally understand where your message is coming from. It says, question, question, question. Where is Mena and his son that pulled gun on security operatives that went to enforce the arrest of his father? Also, where is Evans? All right, this is Chooks sending us that message here this morning. 070-317-56537 is the number for you to send us a text or a WhatsApp message this morning. All right. The Nation has the headline: NIN not mandatory for voters registration, says INEC. The Independent National Electoral Commission has said that the National Identification Number (NIN) is not mandatory for voters registration. INEC chairman Professor Mahmood Yakubu said this on Thursday while addressing reporters in Abuja. He said that the NIN is only a means of identification for registration as enlisted in the Electoral Act. And I want to make this important clarification. NIN is not going to be made mandatory for voters registration. This is for simple reason. We are opening a basics for law establishing INEC. This is one headline, right? I want to take the other headline with regards to if you do not have your NIN, you risk 14 years imprisonment. This government, the federal government yesterday put the number of Nigerians that have obtained their national identification number on Wednesday to 51 million, warning that those without the NIN risk 14 years imprisonment. The Minister of Communication and Digital Economy, Dr. Issa Pantami, said at a ministerial briefing in Abuja, coordinated by the presidential media team, there were no plans to lift the ban on subscribers' identification modules, that's SIM card registration. Pantemi also put the number of SIM card subscribers to over 150. He stated that while 51 million had completed their NIN registration, the remaining 99 million had problem of improper registration. The minister warned that those who failed to obtain their NIN could be jailed from between 7 years to 14 years as stipulated by law. Now, according to him, while obtaining a SIM card may be optional, NIN is mandatory as prescribed by Section 27 of the NIMC Act 2007. Why is this contradicting themselves? The INEC is saying it's not compulsory you have your NIN to register to do your voters registration. Pantimi, on the other hand, is saying you don't have it, you risk 7 to 14 years imprisonment. Why? First off, why are you threatening us? It is your fault. It is the agency that you have put in place that had not fulfilled their obligation in ensuring that they reach every hook and corner. What stopped them to have done an active 1-year plan to see that there is a registration center like the way we have election polling booths? What stops them from making a 1-year concrete plan that in 1 year you can register 200 million people in a year, even more if you have all of the facilities available, the equipment available? So first off, there is a conversation on the agency had failed in its responsibility. Its primary responsibility was to ensure that they registered every Nigerian, and they had failed. They put pressure on telecommunication companies. These people lived up to the expectations of getting everybody to register their SIM. And we know that has worked because they were able to live up to that expectation. But why, in the case of NIN, you are putting a threat and you think Nigerians will fall for your threat? We have coconut head. We know they agree.
Okay. The fact remains that I'm sure we all want to be patriotic citizens. And so, in the first place, I would say, as patriotic Nigerians, we should try as much as possible. If we've not done the name registration, we should try as much as possible to do it. Now, as you mentioned, the telecoms companies, they've made it very easy for us, and that's why you have the increase in numbers of those who have actually registered successfully. Yes, the agency has failed, but I'm sure now at this particular stage, they are trying to see how best to speeding up the registration, even though they're trying to put some threats in it, which I don't really think would definitely work, as you said, with Nigerians, and the approach also, I think the problem is even synonymous with most of our federal agencies. We've
Okay.
seen that the approach in which we want to do things,
Yeah.
try to force things on Nigerians, or do this fire brigade approach. They've seen that it doesn't really work. So you have to have a long-term plan ahead.
Yeah.
And all this while, if this agency has actually taken up its responsibility, to do this registration, going to offices here and they're taking it to the people, I'm sure no one would actually have any issues with registering and all that. And even looking at the angle of 14 years imprisonment, if some of our elected or appointed officers or politicians, have stolen huge sums of money from our coffers or from our
Looted.
treasury, and
Looted
and
money.
and and we can't even jail them for 2 years. And you now wonder how that law will stand with an ordinary citizen that somehow has failed, or has not been able to live up to the expectation of registering the name. And you now say you want to put 14 years imprisonment, in as much as you mentioned the sections where it is mandatory for you to do it as a civil responsibility.
Mhm.
14 years, I think that's too, will I say rigid? But the bottom line is that as many that have not done it should actually go and get it done, and so that we move from this stage. And it's also a lesson. The last time, I think there was a time we were talking about INEC's preparation towards
Yes.
2023 election, and with all the other issues they have to deal with in ensuring we have a proper and smooth electoral year, you find out that now they want to start registration on time.
Yes. Starting from June this year, registrations will kick off.
And in one of the reports, I think this year, I saw where they mentioned that you have to have your NIN to get your registration, your voting registration on, or something like that. It now shows us that it's a very important document that we need to have, just as the voters card.
Yes.
But they want to start voters registration on time now. So even if it's one of the criteria, if you have gone to do it, it adds to what you have, to say, okay, I'm a citizen of this country. This is my identity.
Okay.
This is what I have to show
Yes.
that I'm a citizen of this country.
Okay.
But when we begin to put, certain restraints, if you don't do this, you won't be able to do this, it's not a very good approach.
But then there is a clause I want us to look at in the NIMC Act 2007, Section 27. The clause is on Section 27 that says that you need the NIN for opening bank account, for insurance, land transaction, voters registration, driver's license. So it is an offense to transact any business activities without first having your NIN. I know in places like the United States, for example, your security number is something that even if you are renting a car, you are moving into a new apartment, whoever is, it's a very basic requirement that saves you from filling a list of documents. They just say, oh, we need your security number, social security number, and then we can carry out these things for you. But INEC contradicting this, saying it is not compulsory, is where I feel like there is a contradiction here on why it is not compulsory, because this is supposed to be the primary means of identification of a Nigerian. A lot of people use their voter's card as a means of identification, driver's license. I did my NIN before I even did maybe a driver's license or any other form of registration. And well, the NIN was compulsory because you won't get a passport if you don't do it.
So, I was actually coming to that.
You won't get a passport if you don't do it, right?
Requirements.
So why is INEC refusing to see this or not making it mandatory? Because what this would do particularly, because for you to actually register for do voters registration, you need to be up to the age of 18, right? And if you're not up to the age of 18, you cannot register to vote. But if you are below the age of 18, you can actually get an NIN, right? Let's look at it that why should persons above the age of 18 not be made to see reasons to have the NIN? Because a lot of people will say, should I already have voter's card?
Well, we know now that the NIN, I want to believe every good Nigerian knows the purpose of the NIN now. And then we know the relevance, as per this is your identity. This is your form of identity as a Nigerian citizen. I don't think INEC wants to sidetrack the importance of doing the NIN. I think what they are trying to, with the space of time that we have, because of the lack of preparedness from the agency that is responsible, as you can see, it's not everybody that has it. So if INEC starts registration, voters registration now, how many people will be able to go for the registration? If they say, oh, if you don't have NIM, then you can't register. So I think they are just trying. They know, of course, I want to believe they know what is in the law. According to say what you said in that clause, it is there. It is stated as a compulsory document. And as you have seen it, the international passport, for you to get it now, you need to have the NIM. So it's not as if INEC is having or excluding the importance of having it, but they want to ensure that they are able to accommodate as many people, pending when the agency will get it as right to get everybody on
Okay.
board with the NIM.
Sure.
I want to believe that they know, because if they had said it that the registration is important, it is your form of identity, just as the voters registration is. But what we should also be looking at is the fact that the validity of the NIM, the passport, you can have 5 years passport depending on how much you can afford, because they have different prices. At the same time, the pages of the price of the passport now 32 days, I think 62 or something, so that also shows you the amount you are paying. So it depends on your preference. But the voters card, there should be a duration for the voters card before you change it, whether you have the plastic one or the
Okay.
the printed one. But I think almost everybody has the voters card.
The
Even the
printed
ones
one.
that we learned during the 2019 election that people didn't go they didn't go and collect it,
Mm-hmm.
it's still there. So in as much as it is being done into the plastic form, there should be a duration where the voters card will elapse, or is due for from so year to so year, maybe 5 years before you change it.
Okay.
The NIM should also have that validity date on it, so that we know that at so time we are going to go and renew or change it. As it is now, even the NIM, most of us, what we have is the aside from the number on it, is the paper, the printed
Yes.
copy that we
Printed copy.
have. A lot of people don't have the plastic form,
Mm.
so, and for those processes to be done, you will wait for donkey years before it will be done, and you can't delay INEC from performing the duties it's supposed to do towards the 2023 election. We said they should begin to prepare ahead of time, so that everyone will be involved in election process, not when it's very close. That's when everybody will start rushing. And we usually know the way we Nigerians, when it comes to queuing up, we are not a fan of queuing up. We want to rush, we want to be attended to at the same time. So the earlier this does not obstruct the process of INEC, the better for us.
All right. Let's take your messages right now. 07031756537. This is the newspaper review, public holiday edition of the newspaper review, Easter edition, let's put it that way, of the newspaper review this morning. All right. This one here is from Israel Inogijo says, okay, I'm going to come back to Israel's message, but let me read this from additional Wasiu. It says here that on the missing Air Force jet in Bornu, I hope the bandits are not responsible for the missing jet, because Sheikh Gumi tell us that these guys have anti-graft guns. Nigerians need to be vigilant. From additional Wasiu in Ikorodu. Says Bonju newspaper review group. I am happy Professor Soludo is safe and alive. God bless Nigeria. Mr. Wale in Peace Estate, Barua. Rosenja Mutu says the bill seeking to stop politicians from embarking on foreign medical trips should encompass political appointment and their families, except when the doctor referred them in case of incapability to treat the ailment. Lekki Tollgate should be a thing of the past, as it will only bring bad memories to, that will divide the nation more. All right, Rosenja Mutu sending us that message. This is from Adewumi in Iyana says, I think the threat of 14 years jail term for non-possession of NIM must be seen as a joke carried too far, especially when we look at it from the angle of the date it was announced, which is the April Fool date. There's no need to panic. Okay. All right, let me take some more messages here. 07031756537. It says here, can the police, the army, and the judiciary tell Nigerians the whereabouts of Wadume, the kidnapper and the mass killer that was freed by the soldiers who equally killed the policeman that went to enforce his arrest? Nigeria has become a country where anything goes, good or wrong. All right, the Chuk sending us that message. It says there is a pertinent question that Nigerians press shying away from. And the question is, why do people go into public and even sometimes private offices like the bank, manufacturing industry, and become billionaires overnight? And the press usually look the other side. In other countries, uh, look the other side in the other countries are really the fourth estate of the fourth tier of the government in most cases. It is the investigative media that does most of the discoveries that help the government to go after the people that commit such crimes against the state and society. My question is, when will the media rise up to the occasion? Says, good morning, Dan and Adeton Chooks, sending us that message. Let's take some of your text messages here. This is from Shegun Olatunji. It says INEC boss has started making ground for non-Nigerians to come and register and rig election by saying NIN is not compulsory. All right, that's Shegun Olatunji's message. This is from Chief Chimaizen Waka in Ikorodu. Says, I'm always glad to whenever I hear call from highly placed people from the north advocating for power to shift to the south for to come 2023. It indicates that Nigeria is one. Please, for equity, fairness, and justice, let it be from southeast. All right. Chief Chima is the worker sending that message. Comrade Adejo from AJCT says the government of Nigeria should be serious for once while issuing threat to Nigerians on the registration of NIN with 14 years jail term. Whereas if palliatives were to be distributed to Nigerians, such will be diverted or distributed to their cronies. Oh, Nigeria, who do us like this? So NIN has supersede the Nigerian constitution. All right. These are the messages we have now. Do well to keep your messages coming in on 070-317-56537. And now let's talk Wale Soyinka, who has, been given, a very important title in Ogun State with regards to Amotekun call. Wale Soyinka warned Ogun Amotekun call against abuse of power. Nobel laureate Professor Wale Soyinka yesterday warned operatives of the Southwest Security Network, codename Amotekun, in Ogun State against abusing their power. If you, Amotekun, abuse your uniform before Ogun, God of Iron, strikes you, we would have dealt with you. We would have dealt with you. All right. He gave the warning in the inauguration of the state Amotekun call held at the arcade ground, Okemoso, Abeokuta. The popular playwright and poet charged the corps to be different from other security agencies and not to abuse their uniform by tampering on the rights of the people. Soyinka was decorated as the super marshal of Amotekun call by Governor Dapo Abiodun in Ogun State. Also warned that other security agencies not to engage in silly rivalry with the corps, but rather welcome them within their ranks and work with them. What I want the security agencies to understand is that it is not the replacement of you. You are too jealous of your position, of your uniform and everything, and that is where there should be cooperation. Where there is no cooperation, there is competition, and that is silly. All right, those are the words of Wale Soyinka this morning. What are your thoughts on what he has said?
Well, according to the report, someone would say that Amotekun is a child of necessity, largely to provide security in the southwest, and we've seen it's been, spread around the southwest states. What I just noticed is the reason why this Amotekun is, taking the front stage is not to disperse the security personnel or the apparatus we have, but to strengthen the security apparatus. And then it is not to compete, working together with security personnel to ensure that we have a safer state, especially in the southwest. Under all circumstances, I want to believe that this admonition by the professor would make the officials who will be taking up this new role to ensure that they do it diligently and not infringe on the human rights, of the indigenes in those states. And there should be a difference in how they discharge their responsibilities, because if we are saying this is to actually add up to the security provisions we have in the southwest states, they shouldn't let it be a negative. It shouldn't come with a negative impact, And so I want to believe that as this is being done and there's careful monitoring of the activities,
Yes.
Things will go properly well. And I think at some point there were lots of agitations on why the Amatekun should come in play, whether it's another way of obstructing the security apparatus earlier set in the different states. But we've seen now that there's no cause for alarm. We just hope that those involved will discharge their duties as patriotic citizens.
All right. Last but not the least, let me get your thoughts on, Amnesty International. They have, said the U.S. report on Lekki shooting inaccurate. And Amnesty International on Thursday said the United States could have taken more time to evaluate all available evidence before publishing its report on the October 2020 Lekki tollgate shooting. The U.S. government, in its 45th annual human rights report, said accurate information on the fatalities from the shooting remained fuzzy, noting that apart from the Amnesty International, which reported 10 persons died during the event, no other organization were able to verify the claims. One body from the tollgate showed sign of blunt force trauma. The second body from another location in Lagos had bullet wounds. The government acknowledged that soldiers armed with live ammunition were present at the Lekki tollgate. At the year end, the Lagos State Judicial Panel of Inquiry and Restitution continued to hear testimonies and investigating the shooting at Lekki tollgate, the report noted. The UK report generated controversy as many have claimed that they are evidence to ascertain that protesters were killed by the Nigerian troops. What are your thoughts on, the report by the United States?
When I saw the report, I was actually, lost in thought for some few seconds. The headline, there was even a particular headline I saw where you have Lekki lies or something, Lekki tollgate lies or something. And I was wondering, how did we get here? Right from the beginning, there were so much evidences here and there. And even with those evidences, you still have one or two indices that didn't show those that were actually killed as a result of the bullet being fired. We had some who were wounded actually. And, the whole thing was looking as if there was some conspiracy somehow until it died down. And now with this report, some new things are unfolding and you're wondering what happened along the line. How did this report get to this level for us to now, for the US report to now claim that there were not much evidences to prove the validity of the Lekki shooters and all that. At some point in time when the report came out, you remember the federal government, came out with a statement that no one was killed, or the reports flying all around on social media were fake news and all that. So I'm wondering, how do we draw the curtain? Where exactly do we sieve the truth from? The reality,
yes.
And what happens to those families who are actually going through an intense trauma at this time? When they see this report, what comes to mind? Is it that the souls of their loved ones that they are just wasted or something? I'm still trying to go through that particular report, but I hope that at the end of the day, just as Amnesty is coming out to say there are actually facts, there are actually evidences that these reports are true. We just need to get. You can't ask a dead person to wake up, and come and so it's really confusing and dicey. But I hope at the end of the day the truth will see the light of the day.
Thank you so much, Adetun, for joining us today on this special Good Friday on the Newspaper Review. And we'll see you guys. We'll see you next week, Friday, God's willing. And yes, I'm very much aware that the challenge is still on. And we're going to give more details of the challenge on the other side of 9 o'clock. This is the Newspaper Review. My name is Daniel Adaja. Let's enjoy the rest of the Friday. Happy Good Friday to all of our Christian brothers and sisters.
We are WFM 91.7, the voice of women, using radio as a tool for women development. We condemn the abuse of women, girls, and children in any shape or form. WFM 91.7, the voice of women.
I beg you, where Corona? Corona